We're all swimming in data, right? So how do you find the actual signal in all that noise? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. We're talking about the power of data storytelling. Basically, the magic of turning a mountain of information into decisions that actually make sense for a business. And this quote, wow, it just hits the nail on the head. Without the story, it is difficult to understand what the data is trying to tell you. I mean, think about it. Raw data is kind of like a giant pile of jigsaw puzzle pieces, right? If you don't have the picture on the box, that's the story, it's just a jumbled, confusing mess. The story is what helps you put all those pieces together so you can finally see the big picture. Okay, so let's bring this home. What is your data trying to tell you, like, right this second? Is it screaming about a huge new opportunity, or maybe whispering about a problem with your customer service? It's a really important question, and we're about to figure out how to find the answer. But, before we can even start looking for that story, we gotta face the sheer size of the problem. And it's a big one. People call it the data deluge for a reason. I mean, seriously, we are practically drowning in data. Every single click, every purchase, every time a customer interacts with you, it's another drop in this massive ocean of information. So the problem isn't that we don't have enough data. Oh no. It's that we have too much to understand. It's a crisis of comprehension. How on earth do you make sense of it all? So let's take a simple example, a retail store. They know you were looking at a blue sweater on their website, but then you walked into the physical store and bought a red one instead. They also know you spent a few minutes wandering through the home goods section, and then you went and liked an ad from their biggest competitor on social media. See, each of those is a tiny little clue. But when you put them all together, they start to tell a much bigger story about what you, the customer, actually want. Okay, so if data is just a pile of clues, how do we actually solve the mystery? Well, that's where the solution comes in. It's what we call the storytelling imperative. Yeah, having the data just isn't enough. I mean, data sitting on a server somewhere is totally useless. It's like having a library full of books written in a language nobody can read. The whole point isn't just to collect the data. It's to turn it into an insight, and then turn that insight into something you can actually do. This comparison right here, it says everything. On the left, you've got this tangled mess. That's what raw data feels like for most companies. It's confusing, it's overwhelming, it just paralyzes you. But then look over on the right. Add a story, and suddenly there's a clear path through all that chaos. The story connects the dots, and you get a straight line from all that noise to a clear decision. That transformation is what this is all about. So let's be super clear on what we mean by data storytelling. This is not just about making your charts look pretty, okay? It's the actual skill of building a story that answers the three big questions. 1, what's going on? 2, why should I care? And 3, what are we going to do about it? It's all about giving leaders the confidence they need to actually make a call. All right, so that's the big idea. But how does this actually work in a real world? How do you go from numbers on a screen to real action? Let's dig into how we can start unlocking some real, tangible business insights. This table is a great way to see that shift in thinking. So you're not just tracking inventory anymore. No, you're telling the story of why that one product flies off the shelves every single Friday. You're not just stopping fraud, you're finding the story in the data that points to weird activity before it becomes a huge problem. See? Every single business goal you can think of has a data story just waiting to be uncovered. Okay, so you're probably thinking, where do I even start? It might sound a little intimidating, but trust me, it's a process anyone can follow. We're going to break it down into 4 simple steps. Step 1, you've got to partner with the experts, the people who really know the data. Step 2, focus. You need to get the right data, not just all the data. Step 3 is the creative part. You build a story that's clear and makes people listen. And finally, step 4, and this one is so important, you have to share your story. Because what's the point of a brilliant story if no one ever hears it? Right, because sharing your story is so much more than just emailing a report and calling it a day. It's about actively building a culture in your company where these data stories can actually land and make a difference. This is really where the rubber meets the road. Think about it. A fantastic data story means nothing if it doesn't get to the right people when they need it. You can't just let it get buried in some email chain. It has to become a real, living part of how your team talks and makes decisions. You want to build a culture where people don't just like getting data-driven insights, they actually expect them. So what's the big payoff for all this? Well, it boils down to this simple, powerful truth. Business today is a race, And the companies that can turn their data into sharp, fast decisions, well, they don't just compete, they dominate. Data storytelling is what gives you that speed. It's the engine. So let's wrap this up by going right back to the beginning. Your data right now is telling a story. It's telling you about your customers, about your products, about your biggest hidden opportunities. The only question is, are you listening?